Hello YouTube, I am Matt and welcome to just another drop in the bucket. Hello, welcome back YouTube. I am Matt once again. I am here with another drop in the bucket and this is our special on the Orlando Pen Show. I'm going to do some highlights on some of our purchases and some of the vendors that were there. A lot of them are local vendors from Florida, north and south. And we're going to start with our pen from F3. This is the Sinister edition, and in it we have some special ink that we got from a vendor that we bought most of our stuff from because they had most everything we wanted, Anemoia. So Anemoia is an ink and pen emporium down I think they're in North Florida, and this is their brochure. They have a lot of kind of like dark and antiquated things, kind of medieval slash turn of the century type of stuff. Very cool looking. This is their sticker. We did get several with our purchase. So specifically from them, we got a lot of ink. The first one we have here, and this is what I am using in the F3 pen, which is how this all correlates, FYI. Dominant Industry, this is the first time I've bought a Dominant Industry ink, but specifically, this is the exclusive Anemoia Borealis. So this is a space-themed ink, and it is going in our somewhat dragon-themed pen, and it is a plain box. It's just kind of brown like that. No real specific instruction, but it has the whole infinite time thing going on with it. It does look very cool, much like a space-themed ink would. This is the sack that the ink comes with. It is a limited edition of only 200 bottles, so kind of limited edition. It is the primary thing on shopanemoia.com. This is the bottle. It is a heavily shaded, sheening, and glitter ink. It comes out with a lot of different colors, a lot of different effects in it. There's your logo on top. It's kind of a vial looking bottle. Anyone that's seen it, this is a typical bottle of them, but this is a limited edition ink, like I said. Now, back to the pen that we have this ink in. This is the Sinister edition of the F3. It has no clip, but it is a cigar shape, flat finial and end cap. In it, we have a broad number 6 nib, and it is a Jowo nib and custom inscription, again F3, so they've got their nice logo everywhere. The grip is a nice smooth, although a wide body, and the threads are very nice and smooth to hold, so you really don't even feel them. The pen is lightweight, weighing only in at 28 grams capped and screwed on, 19.5 uncapped. There's no posting. It's not meant to be posted, but it is 6 inches when, again, capped and threaded. So if you put it in something, it's a little on the long side. However, for me, I love the 5.5 inches. This is my perfect length of what I consider to be the perfect length pen, from, again, end to tip of the nib. It is a plastic feed, standard, all that. You could get this ground, tuned, etc. at a good Nibmeister. We just have a plain old broad. We wanted something that wrote nice and wet to display our very fancy ink. A demonstration of that is right here. This is the writing sample of this pen. So across it, you see a lot of shading, a lot of sheening. This is second day, so some of the glitter is starting to come out and it's really starting to brighten up. It's beautiful. Now in comparison, the V26 is within 1 gram and I believe within 1/8 length. I don't have it on me, but if you have the Asvine V126, that is in length and weight a comparable pen to this pen, posted and capped. Not the same material at all, but just so you have an idea of weight and length. Now, this company does offer you, the pen company F3, several things. They do offer you a pen stand. These are 3D printed stands, and on it, it sits on a desk rather nicely, like this. So it gives you somewhere nice so it doesn't roll off your desk. and it's a way to display the pens and their beauty. This is a darker black bodied theme with a rather sinister or dark glitter in it, so it has a little bit of chatoyance. And overall, the last little bit, which is probably very hard to pick up on camera, is their custom inscription within this on the back side. It does have that F3 logo. So they are a logoed pen, which I always feel like self-branding is somewhat important somewhere on the pen so that you know where you got it from in the future. Or someone else does when they pick it up and they ask, what is it? You could be like, it's an F3. It says so right there. It's also on the nib, just as a reminder. Also, being that it was a custom pen, they did offer me any choice of nib I wanted. So if you go and you find F3 at a pen show, they have every size imagined for the Jowo nibs. And they're easy to tune and grind at any nibmeister. Very common nib to have. Next on the list, after we get through all this, so on here you can see it is a rather juicy pen. It had a very good smudge test. Glitter starting to come out from the brod. Very nice and smooth writing sample. So next in line was an Esterbrook Estie Raven. And this is the button filler edition. In it, I have a medium nib. But first to the ink. Octopus ink. Dragon for Year of the Dragon. So this is a shading ink. It doesn't sheen, it doesn't have glitter, but even with a medium, it colors or shades to red in the dark areas. This is the top of the cap. This is a typical bottle. And let me see real quick, does it mention milliliters? Just don't have it on me. Don't see it right away. It might be 30 milliliters, so it's in the $20 bracket. Like most ink, I think it's just a little bit smaller bottle because it is kind of a smaller brand ink. So this is the writing sample for that. It's a medium PVD coated nib, Esterbrook Estie Raven, and the pen itself is weighing at 29 grams and 20 uncapped. Its overall length from end to nib tip is 5 3/8 or 6 inches capped once again. Also again close to that V126. Now here's the writing sample. You can see it's not as flowy as a brod. It's not even, the ink itself dried pretty quick, so it's a fairly dry ink, but I do feel like the shading aspect was very cool. It's already visible. It was visible last night when I wrote it, so multiple hours in. This pen, which right now I have on a second stand that I bought from F3. Their stands are very affordable at $5 a piece, but here's what it looks like on the stand right now. It's a nice way to display it. I love their stands. But the Esterbrook Estie Raven, for a long time I swore up and down I would never buy the Esterbrook Estie Raven, mostly because it's a very expensive price point for just a stainless steel nib. I have other PVD coated nibs such as the V169 or excuse me V126 that has also a black PVD coated nib, but it's limited edition and they do have other functions that I like as well. Both the cap and the body on this pen and the grip are all coated, so it feels kind of like a coated maybe brass body or just a thicker plastic out of all the same material. It's a matte black, so the whole pen's kind of got that stealth black. You do have this shiny on the clip, which is highly functional, very springy, easy to use, so you could put it on nearly any shirt. The faux cap down here is not a true piston knob. Instead, it protects the button filler system, which I won't display because I already have it full of ink, but effectively you push it in and you let it slowly pull back in ink. You do it a couple of times till you get all the air out. So that is how this filling mechanism works. It is still a piston, still drives the piston up and down. You just don't have the larger knob inside. It's kind of a spring-loaded contraption. Works fairly well. Overall, again, black plastic feed, medium nib, my favorite to write with. I'm going to be trying to daily drive this for a while, even with this nice ink in it. A last note, it does have an ink window. It's a little bit different, but it's there. And it works. You can see your approximate ink level with it, and you can tell when you're getting low. It's a little bit on the thin side because the inside is a smaller diameter as opposed to other pens, but it still works and does its job. Once again, that ink is the Octopus Dragon ink. This is what it looks like. It has a dark green look on the basic color, and it shades to red in the darker areas where you overlap. And so here and there, all throughout, it does have some of that red poking out at you, giving you a little bit of a different flavor. Next on the list, I'm not reviewing the pens, I'm reviewing the ink. I wrote it with a TWSBI Broad for both the next examples, but the pen is irrelevant. It's more about the ink. And this is an ink I've wanted to review for a long time. This is going to be the Endless Alchemy Ink, and the first one is called Candy C. Heavy shimmer, shade, color, etc., all that. So from blue to red, blue shimmer in it, multiple colors throughout. You could see it on the page perhaps. Very diverse in color when it comes out in its full effects. I love it. This is the first edition of Alchemy, and this is the box that it comes in. It's a very fancy box, looks very cool. I believe it is a solid 60 milliliters, and they give you all this wonderful look for it. Now, I don't know if they're going to continue, because I'll show you what they come out with in the next generation. I managed to get my hands on one color, and it's a little bit different setup, but similar still. So, very fancy box. It does come with some other stuff, but mostly today, I'm going to show you the beaker glass bottles that it comes in. It has a little rolly thing on the bottom, so if you leave it just on a flat table, it's likely to roll around. That's why they give you the cork, so that you can use it and ink it without it rolling everywhere on you. And the Candy C, right there is the blue one. You want to shake it before you use it because it does everything really cool. Now you can see it is a very wet ink. It dries pretty slow. It has a good smudge. It has a lot of shading and sheening for the broad. And that is pretty much all for the Candy C. Next, I'm going to be showing you Mythic Forest. So it is a dark green with shading, less shimmering in this one, I believe, but still a lot of effects going on. So again, this was written with another broad TWSBI. Not really going over TWSBIs, I've reviewed them before. I love all of them. There's more about the ink. So again, a very wet ink, a lot of shading, and a lot of shading. So it changes colors, and it has different colors that it changes to. Again, here's the box. They do have kind of a description on here. So on the back it says color, dark green, sheen, no. So it's not got glitter in it, but shading medium amount. So very good. Now the last one I reviewed down here is another Endless Alchemy Generation 2 Peach. I didn't have a pen to fill for it, so this is written with a glass tip nib or a glass pen. So it does look a little bit different. It puts out ink a little bit differently, but it still gets the point across. So this is the box for it. I don't have it out. It's a little bit smaller. I believe it's 40 milliliters instead of 60, but much the same style, just a little bit smaller. Now, this ink is about 50% opaque. So it's not like the other two where it has a nice dark full body that you can't see through. This is more of it's one of the lighter inks. If you have the TWSBI Basic Red, that's what I would compare this to. You can see through it. If you had something underneath, you would absolutely see it. But on a white page, it just comes out really bright. Ignore this. I smudged it with an already inky hand. Look at this one. So in darker areas where there's more ink, it does shade. And according to this, it has no sheen, which I believe. So It's all about the shading, not the sheening. So it has a couple different colors that it shades to, mostly light and dark peach, and then no glitter. So the glitter is kind of a thing to a couple of the first generation ones and not as much in the later generation ones. So still very cool, still a very wet ink, still very easy to write with. Those are going to be my favorite ink choices coming up. So overall, it's a very good show. I do recommend, if you can find them anywhere in a show, visit Anemoia Emporium. They are very cool. They have a lot of very themed stuff. Their inks, their pens, everything is very amazing. I was impressed they managed to get their own limited edition ink. I love their sticker. I think I'm going to put it in the first page here since I'm starting a brand new book. I'll probably stick it in here somewhere. So that will be for that. They do have some custom stationery. If you do sign up as a member, might be getting some of this. Also, they have something I thought was very interesting. I've tried it once because it had such an interesting description. I believe this is more stationery for writing letters. So up here, you date it, plenty of room to write, and the texture is kind of a rubbery, plasticky texture. It's between smooth and rough. Kind of interesting. They claim you can use this as a mouse pad. I believe it. Would I? I don't think I will. But writing on it, it did write very well. It absorbed the ink a little bit quicker, so you won't get as much shade and sheen in it, but probably the shading will be a little bit better, and your inks are going to dry a little bit quicker. So I like it. It wrote pretty easily. I recommend them solidly as a company. F3, the last thing, the big pen that we got, the Sinister edition, comes with these leather sleeves for all of their pens. That's part of what you get, not just something extra to buy. So if you're going to be transporting it in a bag or something so it doesn't scratch up, you could put it in the leather. It is handmade leather, has their cool logo on it, along with the F3. So overall, very nice aesthetic looks. And that is it, folks. Tell me what you got. What did you manage to get at the Orlando Pen Show?